Hey coins lover, welcome back to CoinAgeEra. Today, we're entering one of the most mysterious and exciting eras in Washington quarter history, the legendary 1965, 1967, and 1969 quarters. To most people, these coins look completely ordinary, just old quarters lost in drawers, piggy banks, or pocket change. But collectors know a different story. These coins were born during one of the biggest crises in American coin history, a time when silver disappeared from U.S. currency. The government feared nationwide panic, and rare mint mistakes secretly escaped into circulation. This was the era when America changed its coins forever. Millions of people rushed to save older silver coins. Banks struggled with shortages, and the U.S. Mint worked day and night trying to keep the economy running. Hidden inside that chaos were rare Washington quarters that would later become collector legends worth thousands, and in some cases, rumors of millions. Some of these quarters were struck with unbelievable mint errors. Others were secretly made on silver plankets when they shouldn't have existed at all. And because mint marks were removed during part of this era, mystery and confusion made these coins even more fascinating for collectors around the world. Today, coin hunters still search through old collections hoping to uncover one of these hidden treasures. One tiny detail, a rare strike, an unusual surface, or a hidden error can completely transform an ordinary-looking quarter into a life-changing discovery. So get ready, because we're about to uncover the story behind the first and most historic coin in this legendary trio, the powerful 1965 Washington quarter. The year 1965 changed American coin history forever. Before this year, Washington quarters were made from real silver, 90% pure silver to be exact. For decades, Americans carried valuable metal in their pockets every single day without thinking twice about it. A quarter wasn't just money. It contained real precious metal value. But during the early 1960s, silver prices began rising rapidly across the world. Suddenly, people realized something shocking. The silver inside U.S. coins was becoming worth more than the coin's actual face value. That discovery triggered chaos across America. People rushed to banks, stores, and vending machines collecting every silver coin they could find. Entire rolls of quarters disappeared overnight as families started hoarding coins for profit. Businesses struggled to make change, banks ran low on coins, and the U.S. economy slowly began feeling the pressure of a national coin shortage. The government feared the situation could spiral out of control if silver coins completely vanished from circulation. Everyday commerce across America could suffer badly. The U.S. Mint needed an emergency solution, and fast. That's when one of the boldest decisions in coin history was made. In 1965, the U.S. government officially removed silver from the Washington quarter for the very first time. The new quarter still looked silver on the outside, but inside it was now made from a copper-nickel-clad composition instead of precious metal. To many Americans, this felt like the end of an era. Some people became angry, believing the government had destroyed real money. Others immediately began saving older silver coins, convinced they would someday become valuable collectibles, and history proved they were right. The design itself remained unchanged. The front still featured America's first president, George Washington, while the reverse carried the famous eagle design created by John Flanagan. But even though the design stayed the same, the meaning of the coin changed forever. And then something unusual happened. Because the government feared collectors would hoard coins even more, mint marks were completely removed from U.S. coins between 1965 and 1967. The mint hoped people would stop paying attention to where coins were produced. But instead, this mysterious no-mint mark era made the coins even more legendary decades later. Millions upon millions of 1965 quarters flooded into circulation. Most were heavily used in everyday life, dropped into cash registers, laundromats, and parking meters. But hidden among them were rare mistakes that collectors would later spend decades searching for. Some 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver plankets from 1964. That means a few coins secretly contained real silver, even though they were never supposed to exist. Others showed doubled designs, off-center strikes, clipped edges, or dramatic die cracks created during mint production. But now comes the most exciting chapter of the 1965 Washington quarter story. The hidden values, rare mint errors, and unbelievable prices that transformed this ordinary-looking coin into a collector's obsession. At first, most Americans believed the new clad quarter had little importance because it no longer contained silver. People spent them everywhere without hesitation: grocery stores, gas stations, vending machines, restaurants, never imagining some would later become valuable treasures. But collectors soon discovered something shocking. Not all 1965 quarters were normal. During the transition from silver to clad coinage, a few left over 90%. Silver plankets from 1964 accidentally remained inside mint machinery. As a result, several 1965 quarters were mistakenly struck on real silver blanks, coins that technically should never have existed. These rare silver error quarters became legendary among collectors because they represent the exact moment America changed its currency forever. Today, authentic 1965 silver quarters are worth incredible amounts of money. Some have sold for $7,000 to over $15,000 at auctions, depending on condition and certification. But the surprises didn't stop there. Collectors also discovered valuable error varieties including double die errors, off-center strikes, clipped plankets, broad strike errors, die cracks and cuds, wrong planchet errors. Some quarters showed dramatic doubling on letters and dates, while others were struck far off-center, creating strange and eye-catching designs. Every unique error made the coin even more collectible. And then came the high-grade coins. Because most 1965 quarters were heavily used in circulation, finding flawless examples became extremely difficult decades later. Professional grading companies realized that perfect mint state coins from 1965 were surprisingly rare. As collector demand exploded, some ultra-high-grade 1965 quarters began selling for thousands of dollars, especially coins with strong luster and sharp details. But one rumor still fascinates coin hunters to this day. Some collectors believe undiscovered transitional silver quarters may still exist hidden inside old jars, coin rolls, and forgotten family collections. That mystery keeps treasure hunters searching through Washington quarters even today. Imagine finding an ordinary-looking quarter in pocket change, only to discover it contains real silver and could be worth a small fortune. That's what makes the 1965 Washington quarter so legendary. It wasn't just another coin. It marked the dramatic end of America's silver coin era and the beginning of modern U.S. currency. And believe it or not, the next quarter in this story became even more mysterious. And now, we enter one of the strangest and most mysterious chapters in Washington quarter history, the legendary 1967 Washington quarter. At first glance, this coin doesn't look special at all. No silver shine, no colorful design, no obvious rarity, just another ordinary quarter from the 1960s. But collectors know something the average person doesn't. The 1967 quarter was born during one of the most chaotic periods in American coin history. This was the era when silver coins were disappearing from circulation. Americans were panic-saving old money, and the U.S. Mint was desperately trying to stop the country from running out of coins completely. After removing silver from quarters in 1965, the government expected the coin shortage crisis to end quickly. But instead, things became even worse. People continued hoarding older coins, believing they would become valuable someday. And because of fear and confusion, even newer quarters started disappearing from circulation. The U.S. Mint became overwhelmed. Machines ran day and night producing coins as fast as possible. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco worked under massive pressure to flood America with fresh currency. But then the government made another shocking decision. To discourage collectors from saving coins, mint marks were completely removed from U.S. coins between 1965 and 1967. That means every 1967, Washington quarter looks almost identical no matter where it was produced. This unusual no mint mark era instantly made these coins different from almost every other Washington quarter in American history. Some collectors hated the change. Others became even more fascinated by the mystery surrounding these coins. Without mint marks, tracking production origins became difficult, and confusion spread through the collecting world. The design itself remained classic and powerful. The obverse still featured George Washington, while the reverse displayed the iconic eagle created by John Flanagan. But behind that familiar design was a coin born from national economic pressure and collector chaos. And then came the errors. Because the mint was rushing production so aggressively, mistakes began escaping into circulation. Some 1967 quarters showed doubled letters and dates. Others were struck off-center or developed strange die cracks and weak strikes. A few coins were even accidentally struck on incorrect plankets, creating ultra-rare varieties collectors still dream about today. But what truly made the 1967 quarter legendary was its condition rarity. Most coins were used heavily in circulation almost immediately. Americans handled them constantly in vending machines, stores, and everyday transactions. As a result, finding sharp, flawless examples decades later became incredibly difficult. Collectors eventually realized that perfect condition 1967 quarters were far rarer than people expected. Some coins with strong luster and clean surfaces became major collector targets, and hidden somewhere among the billions of ordinary-looking quarters. Experts believe undiscovered rare errors may still exist today. Old piggy banks, forgotten drawers, bankrolls, and family collections could still contain valuable 1967 quarters, waiting to be discovered. What looked like ordinary spare change slowly became one of the most mysterious and collectible modern Washington quarters ever produced. But the most exciting part of the story, the hidden values, rare auction prices, and collector secrets behind the 1967 Washington quarter, is still ahead. But now, we arrive at the most exciting and valuable chapter in the story of the 1967 Washington quarter. For years, most people believed these quarters were ordinary coins with no special importance. After all, billions were produced and used everywhere across America. But collectors later uncovered a shocking truth. Hidden among these common-looking quarters were rare errors and ultra-high-grade coins worth incredible amounts of money. Because the U.S. Mint was rushing production during the national coin shortage crisis, mistakes escaped into circulation more often than normal. And today, those mistakes are exactly what collectors hunt for. Some of the most valuable 1967 quarter errors include double die errors, off-center strikes, clipped plankets, broad strike errors, die cracks and cuds, wrong planchet errors. Some coins displayed dramatic doubling on the date and lettering, while others were struck so far off-center that part of the design completely disappeared. Every unusual mistake made the coin more rare and collectible. But one discovery shocked collectors more than anything else. A few rare 1967 quarters were reportedly struck on leftover silver plankets from earlier years. That means some coins secretly contain real silver even though they were never supposed to exist. These transitional error coins became legendary because they represent the chaotic moment. America moved away from silver currency forever. Authentic examples have sold for thousands and in some cases over $10,000 at auction. And then came the condition rarities. Most 1967 quarters were heavily circulated almost immediately. They passed through millions of hands in stores, gas stations, vending machines, and banks. Scratches, wear, and damage destroyed the quality of countless coins over time. That's why collectors became obsessed with finding flawless mint state examples. Perfect condition 1967 quarters with sharp strikes. Clean surfaces and strong luster are surprisingly rare today. Some professionally graded high-grade coins have sold for thousands of dollars, shocking people who once considered them simple pocket change. But perhaps the biggest mystery surrounding the 1967 quarter is this. Because there were no mint marks on these coins, many collectors believe rare undiscovered varieties may still be hidden in old collections today. Some valuable quarters may have already been spent unknowingly, while others could still be sitting unnoticed inside jars and coin albums across America. Imagine finding an old 1967 quarter in your drawer, only to discover it's a rare error worth a fortune. That possibility is exactly why collectors continue searching these coins. Decades later, the 1967 Washington quarter wasn't just another coin, it was a symbol of one of the most chaotic and mysterious periods in U.S. coin history. And now, we arrive at the final and perhaps most dangerous coin in this legendary Washington quarter trilogy, the mysterious 1969 Washington quarter. This coin didn't enter America quietly. It arrived during a time when trust in U.S. coins was already breaking apart. By 1969, Americans were still angry about silver disappearing from quarters. Older silver coins had almost vanished from circulation. Collectors were hoarding anything unusual, and rumors about rare error coins were spreading everywhere. Every strange-looking quarter suddenly became suspicious, but the 1969 Washington quarter was different. Unlike the dramatic 1965 transition coin or the mysterious no-mint mark, 1967 quarter. The 1969 quarter slowly built its reputation in the shadows. For years, most people ignored it completely. It passed silently through stores, gas stations, vending machines, and cash registers, without anyone imagining that some examples would later shock the coin-collecting world. At the time, America itself was changing fast. The late 1960s were filled with political tension, moon missions, protests, and economic uncertainty. And while the world focused on historic events happening on television screens, the U.S. Mint continued striking millions of Washington quarters behind the scenes. The familiar portrait of George Washington still appeared proudly on the front, while the powerful eagle design by John Flanagan remained on the reverse. But hidden inside the mint machinery, something unusual was happening. Production pressure remained extremely high. The mint was focused on speed, not perfection. Machines operated continuously, dies wore down quickly, and quality control sometimes failed. That's when rare and mysterious errors quietly escaped into circulation. Some 1969 quarters showed strange doubling. Others appeared weakly struck or carried unusual die marks. A few displayed dramatic off-center strikes that instantly caught collectors' attention years later. But one rumor changed everything. Collectors began hearing whispers about rare 1969 quarters connected to doubled die varieties and unusual minting mistakes. Coin hunters across America suddenly started checking every quarter more carefully. Dealers searched through bank rolls by the thousands hoping to uncover hidden treasures. And then came the condition rarity problem. Most 1969 quarters were heavily used in circulation almost immediately. Coins became scratched, dull, and damaged through everyday use. Truly sharp and flawless examples became incredibly difficult to find decades later. But unlike earlier quarters, the 1969 coin developed a different type of collector appeal: mystery. Some believed undiscovered transitional errors still existed. Others claimed rare doubled dies were hiding unnoticed inside ordinary collections. The more collectors searched, the more legendary the coin became. Suddenly, what once looked like an ordinary quarter turned into a treasure hunt. Families began checking old jars. Coin dealers examined thousands of rolls. Even casual collectors started paying attention to dates they once ignored completely. And today, The 1969 Washington quarter remains one of the most fascinating modern quarters ever searched by collectors, not because everyone found rare examples, but because so many people still hope they will. But the real excitement begins in the next chapter, because the hidden values, famous errors, and shocking auction prices behind the 1969 Washington quarter are where the true legend starts. But now, we finally reach the most thrilling part of the 1969 Washington quarter story, the hidden values, famous mint errors, and shocking prices that turned this overlooked coin into a collector legend. For years, millions of Americans spent 1969 quarters without even looking at them. To the average person, they were nothing more than ordinary pocket change. But collectors slowly discovered that some of these coins carried secrets worth far more than 25 cents, because the mint was still producing coins under heavy pressure. Mistakes escaped into circulation once again. And today, those mistakes are exactly what make certain 1969 quarters so valuable. Collectors began searching for double die errors, off-center strikes, clipped plankets, broad strike errors, die cracks and cuds, high-grade mint state coins. Some quarters displayed doubled letters and dates so unusual that collectors instantly recognized them as rare varieties. Others were struck off-center, creating dramatic-looking coins that seemed almost unreal. Every unusual error increased collector demand, but the biggest excitement came from ultra-high-grade examples. Most 1969 quarters were heavily circulated and damaged over time. Coins became scratched, dull, and worn from everyday use in stores, vending machines, and banks. That made flawless examples incredibly difficult to find decades later. Professional grading companies eventually confirmed that perfect condition 1969 quarters were much rarer than collectors originally believed. Coins with strong luster, sharp strikes, and clean surfaces became highly valuable collector pieces. Some top-grade 1969 Washington quarters have sold for thousands of dollars at auction, while rare error examples continue attracting strong collector interest today. And then came the rumors. Some collectors believed rare transitional or undiscovered varieties might still exist hidden in old collections. Stories spread about unusual quarters found in forgotten jars and family coin albums. Whether every story was true or not, one thing became certain: the hunt for valuable 1969 quarters was far from over. Even today, coin hunters still search through rolls of quarters hoping to uncover one extraordinary discovery that could change everything. That's what makes this coin so exciting. It's not just about money. It's about mystery, history, and the thrill of finding hidden treasure in everyday life. The 1969 Washington quarter proved that even an ordinary-looking coin can carry an extraordinary story. And decades later, collectors around the world still continue the search. And that brings us to the end of this incredible journey through the legendary 1965, 1967, and 1969 Washington quarters, three coins born during one of the most chaotic and fascinating eras in American coin history. If you enjoyed this powerful coin history series, make sure to like, subscribe, and join CoinAgeEra for more rare coin discoveries, hidden treasures, and unbelievable stories from the world of coins.